The underlying truth of the divorce between Kristi and Desmond Scott that no one seems to be talking about. What is up, winning team? And today I want to chime in on this discussion because I feel like a lot of people are saying certain things, right, about this. And I don't think anybody seems to actually understand. And I feel like it's because a lot of people have never really seen a large amount of success and experience what that's actually like and how that affects what's happening around you. Because basically, if you guys didn't know, there's this couple, they're really quite famous. I used to watch them like early days. As time went on, my discernment was like, it just wasn't for me, but I was happy to see them win. I'm always happy to see people win, you guys know. I hoped that they would have a long, thriving, happy family life and success forever, right? And yeah, but over time, I didn't really get into watching them anymore because I don't know, there's something just didn't interest me anymore about it all. I think it's the classic thing of, and this is actually what I'm going to be talking about. This is I want to just say for those of you who want to succeed in life, this is actually a cautionary tale for you guys. And I'm going to explain because a lot of people, when they want to succeed in any way, and especially when it comes to, you know, what I like to call the devil's temptation trio, money, power, and fame, I like being a pessimist because I find other people just think about all the positives and they don't think of the negatives. And I'll be doing you guys a disservice as the captain of the winning team if I don't highlight to you guys the risks and the negatives that come with success. And this is what we're going to be talking about in this video, because I don't think most people, if you've never like really succeeded in something, can actually understand what's really going on here. So that's why I want to talk about it. For that reason, to give you guys the cautionary tale. You guys know I don't always love to just dive in head first to talk about everything happening on social media because I really don't care and I usually don't see it. But if I do, I usually hear about things and say like Trisha Paytas because I love her. So I watch her entire like 3-hour podcasts because I like her. And also they kind of keep me up to date with what the hell is going on because they're in the know. So anyway, let's talk about this because a lot of people have been talking about how like, oh, he cheated. And then like, so for someone like Trisha, she's like, oh, this is why we hate men. You know, I was like, okay, not surprised that that's what a lot of people had to say. I don't think it's got to do with, what I think people don't understand is this, right? When you succeed, you don't know how the people, some people are saying as well, oh, it's because they were young, they hadn't lived life, they hadn't this. I disagree with all of the above. I just like to say, the thing about succeeding, guys, is you don't know how you or those around you are going to handle success, handle your success, right? So when they got together, yes, they were just, you know, your average young teenagers who fell in love. And I do think that's real. I actually think it's better for people to fall in love and get married earlier. I know a lot of people think the opposite. I think people getting married later is actually what's ruining marriage more, because then you have developed all these things, you've overly grown in your own lives, it becomes more competitive, and it's just a lot more, everyone's more stuck in their ways. I think if you fall in love, like if my child told me that they were in love and they were young, I would honestly support it. I would try to give them as best advice as possible and create a safe space that they would be open to talk to me about it, right? But I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be against it because, you know, you can grow together. You can grow with your innocence. You don't have all of this, oh, I've tasted around the world and now I've seen whatever, because that, all of that stuff I think is what's removing like what makes relationships special and beautiful, which is like having somebody that's like your best friend who you love, who you like. You know what I mean? These days, it's all very just ticking check boxes. I want this in a person. That, and it's like, do you even know what you need and what's good for you? Again, anyway. Back to what this video is supposed to be about, right? What I think actually happened is I think Desmond was taking massive shots to his ego that he wasn't prepared to speak up about as they grew in success. Now, when you are initially, everybody, when you're in any kind of relationship, right? Could be friendship, could be family, could be like a romantic partner. People think that if they see somebody else around them succeeding, that they're going to be happy for them and they're going to take it well. And that's just not the reality. That's what I'm trying to say. That's not real life. In real life, some people will. Some people really will be your number one cheerleader. They'll be happy to see you win. Some people will start to fall into comparison and start to feel like, because your life, you know, there's always this thing of people saying, oh, and so they got famous and then they changed. It's like, yeah, of course they changed, dumbass. They changed because their life has changed. They changed because now they've got a big platform. They have to be more careful about the things that they do, the things that they say. because the impact of every single one of their actions has a much wider scale of what it can affect. Of course, they've changed because they've got access to things that they didn't have before. Of course, they've changed because they're in a different, in a different tax bracket, in a different lifestyle, around different people. So when people say, oh, so-and-so changed, it's like, thank God. Like, if somebody told me I changed, thank God, because I want to evolve. I want to be better. I want to grow. I don't want to be the same me that was me yesterday. I don't want to be the same me that was me 5 years ago. Do you know what I'm saying? So this is, again, what I'm saying to you guys about winning, is that a lot of things about what winners do, like, we have to keep ourselves here and not focus on the losers, right? What we do is different to what everybody else, and other people, they don't get it. And that's fine, because if they got it, then they'd be winners as well. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So what I think actually happened is, right, let's look at the climate of the world we live in, right? Because when you're in a couple, like, I think about this in dating myself, that I think, I don't know how many men could handle being with me with everything that God is going to do in my life. Because I think it's easy to struggle in a relationship if your partner is excelling more than you. Because I say this because obviously she's got like 9 million, or 10 million, followers or subscribers or whatever. And he's got like 1 million, right? She's obviously the main part of the brand, and he's kind of like the supporting role, if you will. And also his biggest contribution is his laugh and his cooking. So whether people realize this or not, yeah, this is just my opinion, okay? Whether people realize it or not, when they see you succeeding, sometimes your success becomes almost like a mirror to them of what they feel like they are or are not doing. As women, we're more used to it because historically, men have been the ones who go out and they get this job and they have this career. We, have historically stayed with the children, are more associated with being at home. And, even to this day, I know women who are like homeschool mothers who other women would even class them as not having a job, not doing anything valuable. And I'm like, they're like the most valuable people, because their kids are getting to be looked after by and taught and everything by the people who actually carry the same genes that God trusted them with. I'm like, you guys are the real MVPs of it all, but there's no really a lot of respect. A lot of the stay-at-home mums I know either consider themselves as not doing anything or are treated as if they're doing nothing. But for them, it's worth it, obviously, for the sake of their kids. But it's just sad because I know it's a societal thing that, even when I was working, myself, when I was, having my business and whatnot, I would have women with children, right? Because I used to, as I've said, I used to work at this children's cafe. So all day, every day, I was dealing with mums of young kids from 7 and under, and obviously in teaching. And, people would see all the different things I was doing and the lifestyle that I got to live and all this. And they would all tell me, like, never have kids, like, focus on your career, because they were all regretting, like, feeling like they had nothing to show for themselves other than motherhood. I'm going somewhere with this, right? But again, us as women, we're more used to the aspects of being considered as like the less in the forefront of like doing anything super impressive in the world, right? And also the other thing is, by genetic makeup, we're less ego driven in general. So it's easier for us to just be like, hey, you know what I mean? It is what it is. And I love that. I love that about being a woman. I happily don't have to be at the forefront at all of anything. I'm quite happy to actually be a stay-at-home woman and just have no notoriety, no nothing. As long as the people I care about, who are probably only the people in that household anyways, plus you guys at the winning team, are good, I don't really care about anybody's anything. Having said that, that's where I think Desmond's problem began, right? Because, and maybe this is where I was starting to feel a bit right, about the things that they were doing. Because obviously she found what was working really well. They both did, her doing those funny videos where she's like doing backflips and stuff in her high heels, which I found funny at the beginning because I don't do backflips in high heels, but I do dance around in the store in the heels, and I do try and do proper dance moves because I'm like, if I can't dance in these heels, I'm not buying them. I'm somebody who, I don't want to just be trotting around on my toes like I can barely walk. I'm going to wear heels. I need to be able to walk confidently, and I also need to be able to move and dance and run and everything. Because you guys know I like to move my body. I hate being restricted. I hate being restricted in movement at all. So at first I loved it, obviously, because that worked. She just kept, hitting the replay, as you do as a social media people. Anyone who's smart, this is why they always tell you, find your niche, and you basically exploit the hell out of it and just keep hitting the repeat button, right? Because that's what people want to see. People want to keep seeing you do the same thing, which again is just like, it's like adults are actually very much like kids as well, I just like to say. Because it's kind of like, when a kid has like a toy that plays a really annoying song and they just play it like 50,000 times in the day. That's basically the equivalent of people today when it comes to social media. Like, you see something you like and you just want to keep hitting the replay. Anyway, so so I'm like, why do we think we're any different to kids anyway? I think that, so the fact that she was getting so popular, obviously I think there was an element of their videos becoming more and more staged, because obviously they know what's working. Like, I even say to you guys, it's difficult. It would be difficult. I could never have a reality TV show and call it a reality TV show, because the simple fact that there's a camera there, even if I'm trying to be as natural as I would always be, I'm still not going to be 100% as natural as I would be. So if we're all being honest, there's no way, because I know I'm being recorded. I'm hearing what people have to say. There's comments, there's commentaries, there's everything. It's going to affect what I'm doing. So I think for us to suggest that people who've had careers that have gone on for that long are just, this is just the authentic thing. It's kind of like, let's be so freaking for real right now. Let's be so freaking for real. You know what I mean? And obviously, you know, and that's where I think, you know, Desmond and his laugh coming into it, you know, I think that was probably a bit diminishing to himself. Because, you know, sometimes when you're kind of just, you play like just once, what you feel like is one small role, it can be quite demoralizing as a person, right? Because I honestly think that I felt like he was searching to feel something and feel like something. That's what I feel like why he actually cheated, right? That partnered with the fact that he was known for cooking, which again, I'm envisioning in real life terms. Cooking, again, historically is more associated with being a role that women do. Not to say that men don't do it. I mean, do you know what I mean? Again, and it's the classic, obviously, in the home, it's most popularly that you have women who do the cooking. But when it comes to the career in cooking, look at the chefs of the world. Look at the most famous chefs, the Marco Pierre Whites, the Gordon Ramsays, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot more male-oriented because, again, that's the more thing, and that's how things kind of have been, right? At least in my 28 years of living, in my observations, okay? These are just my opinions. So I think the fact of him playing a role, her being significantly more like famous and more at the forefront of it all, right? Because again, her branding doesn't necessarily include him. His branding includes her, because he's popular because people like to see that he's cooking for his family or for his wife. She could kind of just make the same videos that she does, minus him, and even minus, say, his laugh and his food, because people like her personality. And obviously she does, you know, other content that, you know, is attractive to a wider audience. So I think the long and short of everything I'm saying, I think he was taking blows to his ego, like, all along. And then he was searching to feel something and look for something. You know what I mean? Because the other thing with these types of things is when you start to do content and then your family or your relationship becomes a thing that makes you money, there is that line where it's like, we kind of just do have to do what pays the bills. We just bought this huge mansion, you know, or whatever. We kind of got to do what we got to do to pay the bills. Excuse me. So maybe the conversations around doing something different or him finding something for himself, I do think like these are the things that contributed to why he decided to cheat. Because I've said this to you guys before. For me, cheating, I don't take cheating in a personal aspect, because in my opinion, it says more about you than it does about it says more about the person cheating than anything else. That's why I know I will never cheat. And do you know why I can say that? Because my reasoning for saying that is 100% selfish. I don't like that look for myself. I don't like it. I don't like the idea that like I would be so selfish, right, that I would cheat, right, on somebody because I don't have the bollocks. I don't have the bollocks to have the conversation that I need to have, or conversations over time that needed to be had, because I saw somebody was saying, you know, about how he was humiliated by his wife all these years. Bro, grow some balls then and say something. You don't have to do this. You can wrap it up. Many people have come on the internet, men as well, and I'm going to specifically talk about men because Desmond's obviously a man here. Many people have come off on the internet, become famous, realize it's not good for their relationship, it's not good for their family, their community, themselves, their mental health, and have locked it off and have been like, hey, if I have to go and work the least respected job in all of society, and I say it like that because I think making money, however you make money, you know what I mean? We got to have so much more respect for so many different jobs that don't have respect, because it's like all of our jobs, all of us all together, we all make the world go around all together. If somebody is providing for their family, why do we care exactly what they do? And by the way, that's a very much newer school thing of the last couple 100 years. Historically, what you actually did to make money did not equate to your level of status in anybody's eyes, because it was just seen that you just make money the way you make money. However, whatever skills you have and whatever you bring to the table, that's very much a more newer school thing that we do now, where certain jobs are considered more flashy and more impressive than others, right? And it's all very societally driven. So he could have locked it off. If you ask me, low key, I've lost a lot of respect for him, and not even because of the cheating, but because clearly there was a lot of issues that he had, or feelings or thoughts that went unaddressed, or maybe they went addressed and they didn't deal and they continued with it. Because again, there's always the incentive of, I understand, babe, that's how you feel, but like, what are we going to do if the checks stop coming in from TikTok? You know what I mean? So maybe there was that. I'm not saying that she didn't do, it's a joint effort, you know what I mean? You both have to make sure that everybody's happy and everything's good. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, as women, you know, I believe we naturally have more natural discernment. It would surprise me that she would have been taken aback by this, or shocked, at least, or even just shocked that there was any reason he would think of doing something like that, because you would feel the vibe of your relationship, I would think. But then again, I forget that most marriages and most relationships these days are just glorified friends with benefits who are roommates. Is the way I would describe it. Not like love and godly marriage like the way God intended. Most, even Christian marriages, I think, are just like friends with benefits that happen to be roommates and then have kids. Like, which is insane to me, you know? And so, yeah, that's why I think he did it. And I'm saying this to you guys in the winning team, because when you succeed, right, you never really know how the people around you are going to take it. And you also never really know how the success is going to affect everybody, because you might want to succeed all together, right? So in Kristi's eyes, for example, she might see it like, hey, but this is us, this is our family, we built this together, without maybe fully appreciating that she is still more the main character of it all. You know what I mean? And that might be a difficult situation, because like I said, it takes a lot of strength in somebody, and a lot of self-assurance and and an intrinsic sense of self and contentment to be able to handle being around people that are more successful than you and not be bothered by it. I've said this to you guys, that I know of somebody where I watched this exact situation play out, and I've seen it 100 times. It's one of the reasons why I ended up not being friends with somebody who I was friends with over the last couple of years, right? Where there was two women who had known each other because woman A used to hire woman B to support woman A in her creative endeavors, in her projects. So woman B was always in the background, right? Always a supporting act. Now, woman A was always believing that she wanted to see woman B to be as successful as God could create, you know, like the exceedingly and abundantly, is like the Bible says, right? However, when woman B actually started to soar through the heights, right? And even in some opinions, at least in the opinion of woman A, have the opportunities woman A wish she could have had, that's when woman A's true nature came out, because then woman A was like, how can she be the one doing this? How comes she gets to do this? She's not even that good at this. I was the one who was here, who watched all of this play out in front of me, and who was being told, how did she even get that opportunity? She's not even good at this. And I was like, really? Because first of all, we're not going to say that she's not talented. She's one of the most talented people we both know. Let's just start there. Second of all, it's giving jealous and it's giving hater. But then you might not know that that's in you until you're in the situation. And that's what happens with a lot of people, I've realized. I've experienced it myself. I've told you, when you get to a certain point, when you get to a certain place, right? And you start to soar, how people around you start to act and behave. You might be thinking, hey, like Britney Spears went through the same thing. She talks about it in her book, where she was like, sorry, just knocked over my flask by accident. She talks about it in her book, how, you know, she didn't understand why her family responded so poorly. She was like, I'm so happy to pay for everybody's houses. I'm so happy to be able to hire everyone and pay for everything. She's blindly not getting why people are being rubbed the wrong way about that. And that's because they're not dealing with her success well. She thinks in her head, and again, when you're the one who's in the main character role of the situation, it doesn't make sense to you, but that's because you're seeing it only from your lens, and in your head it's just a simple solution like, but hey, this is how we make money, we have a good life, we're happy, whatever. What's the problem here? You know what I mean? Some of those other underlying things might not match up. And then also, like I said, the person feeling in any kind of ways might not also have the bollocks, the resilience, the strength to actually push forward and to match your energy, because that's what I'm saying as well. It's something I think about. It's actually really hard as a winner to find people that match your energy, because most people make excuses. Because I'm sorry, but the cheating thing is giving losing behavior. Like I'm saying, it's giving losing behavior for the sake of your own integrity and your own dignity. Step away, be separated. You know what I mean? For the sake of it. Like, the cheating is the cowardly way out, if you ask me. And how do I think it happened? Probably, he was probably well known by somebody. Some girl came along. And again, there's always going to be those other losers out there probably looking at somebody like her, like wishing they had her life, feeling like she doesn't deserve it. A lot of women, right, do this with men. This is why men they're not very smart either. Like, they will like want what another woman has, and they'll go and take that woman's man. So like, it's still not about you. Like, you're still not even getting respected anyways at the end of it, right? Because all they're doing is they want to like have that power, because they're also losers. Like, I get to sleep with your man. Yeah, I know about that birthmark he has on his left thigh. You know what I mean? Like, something to just feel something, because they don't have that intrinsic sense of self-contentment of having done something within yourself, which is what all winners have to have, which is what gives you resilience, which is why when people come up with whatever they have to say around you, you're just like, and who are you actually to actually even comment? Why do I care when I know within myself I'm happy to be the person I am, and I know I put in the work and I make things happen if I want to make them happen. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, again, that's where, again, he was struggling with that also, because it's like, bruh, you really could just, step up your game, or speak about it, or at least divorce beforehand. Because the other thing is, and this is why I think it's losing mentality, and he probably got caught up. There's some woman probably worshipping him and making him feel valuable and making him feel appreciated and making him feel like he's the greatest man of all time. But what he's forgetting is he's now written in the history of his children that while him and his mum and everybody in that house was there, and he's got 2 sons, so that's going to do a number on their mental health in the future. This is why I say cheating is just always quite selfish. It's doing a number on their head one day, because the story is going to be, and it's going to be for the whole world to see, right, that dad cheated on mum. Right? Dad cheated on mum, and they saw their life fall apart because they're still young. So they're going to not understand all the nitty gritties until way later in life. The damage is done. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying again about, like, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. The same thing, like I said to you guys about Gordon Ramsay talks about. People like, oh, Gordon Ramsay's so harsh. He's so harsh. I don't think he's that harsh. He even says when he was learning how to cook, when he was growing up and he was learning how to cook, he grew up in a household where there was, I can't remember, it was either violence or addiction from his dad, or I think it was his dad or something like that. His brother ends up as an addict, right? And he was like, I need to get out of this house and I need to get stuck in. He goes and decides to go into culinary, like, working in kitchens and becoming, a chef. And he says that lots of people along the way couldn't handle the heat and they left the kitchen. As in, they really couldn't handle the pressure. They couldn't handle what they wanted. And this is what I'm saying to you guys about people wanting things like money, power, and fame. Yeah, you want money, power, and fame. Yeah, it sounds all fun and games. But then now your money, power, and fame, say for these two, you've involved, yeah, it was fun to have 1 million followers, but now, or 10 million followers. But now 10 million followers know that you've got divorced. And now 10 million followers are going to be critiquing everything you do. Now 10 million followers are going to change how they feel about you based on whatever's said. Now all these people are going to come out from the woodwork. And these are the things that people don't think about when they're trying to run headfirst into, oh, I want to succeed and I want to achieve this and I want to achieve that. People don't think about this stuff. You don't think that's not just the good. You can't hide all the bad because things are going to be seen. You go and meet another woman and you're cheating. Guess what? If you've got that many followers and you've got that many whatevers, and on social media today, we're all on it in some form, most people, at some point probably came across at least one of your videos one day. So all it takes is you think cheating now. You can't even cheat like an average person anymore. At least the average person could cheat with somebody down the road. Ain't nobody going to know about it. They can cheat with a lot of people and no nobody going to. Now we're living in the modern day and age where you've been putting your life on the internet. People are going to know, like, isn't that so? And they might not even tell you. I'll be honest. If I was to be one of these kinds of women who did stuff like that like I wouldn't tell the person. I may put on a very, very compelling performance that, oh my gosh, I've never even heard of you before. No way. That's crazy. You're on social media. Oh my gosh. No way. That's crazy. Literally, because it would be the best case scenario. Like, it'd be the best way to like get away with it, because then you're like, oh wow, this is so nice or whatever. I don't know what happened. We don't know the nitty gritties of the cheating, who it was, how it came to be. None of that's actually important. What is important is what I'm saying to you guys about thinking about winning. Hold on. You never know how people around you are going to react. And that could be good or bad. And they probably don't know and won't know until they're in the thick of it. You never really know how you're going to react. So that's why I say to you guys all the time, before we all run headfirst praying to God for this and praying to God for that, we should really stop and think about what the consequences are going to be. Because it all sounds like all fun and games being famous. It all sounds like all fun and games being rich. It all sounds like all fun and games being powerful. When you realize that now, whatever happens, good or bad, is going to be amplified. It's going to be amplified now. And that's exactly what the devil wants, by the way, in this world, is he wants us to get caught up in things when he knows that and have mass destruction happening. Because again, I've said this is why it doesn't surprise me, of course, because now the Trisha Paytas of the world, oh, this is why we hate men. Like, the real point isn't being addressed, but everything else that people are taking sides is just division again. So I'm saying the devil is so good at what he does. He's so good at what he does. This is why God, before he puts us in places, he takes us through a wilderness. He trains us. He prunes us. He purifies us by fire. In order to get the oil from the olive, it must be crushed. He does all this stuff for these types of reasons, so that you have that intrinsic sense of self and contentment in him, right? And so that whatever happens, if you do notice something coming up, you're at least able to address it, at least able to do things before you do anything catastrophic that you can't recover from. Because I'm not saying you can't recover from this. I'm absolutely always in favor of forgiveness, because who am I not to forgive when I've been forgiven and when I need so much forgiveness myself, as I always say, right? But it's not even about that. It's actually more about the fallout, the backlash for the rest of his life he's going to have to deal with. Some people, he's going to meet some people in 20 years ago, oh my gosh, where am I sitting? Are you the one? Are you that guy that cheated on Kristi? That's what he's going to be remembered by. This is what I'm saying, that whether he had justifications or not, or whatever, or good reasons, yeah, the point is you got to realize that life is a game, and you got to understand what game you're playing, and you got to be prepared for the game of life. Because whatever the thing is that you might be justified, whatever, you're dealing with the jury of the sheeple. That's what you're dealing with. So whatever you want to say, whatever you want to do, like I said, by all means, justify everything. And I'm not saying that in a shady way. I genuinely mean that. I'm just saying, be aware of the climate that we're living in. Be aware of what's going on around you, because what you might think is just not that big of a deal, or you're just going to get away with this, that, whatever. The world is watching. The world is watching. And boy, do the world love to judge. They love to judge. They love to have something to say. They love to point the finger. They love the chaos of it all. You know what I mean? Not to mention, the fact that the enemy wants to use our weaknesses, our problems, the things that we don't foresee happening within ourselves against us. That's what he wants to do. He wants to use those things against us. He wants to take us when we're not in a position. Like I said, this is why I think people who are so quick to want to get in relationships and they're praying for a husband, praying for a wife, I think you guys need to spend a lot more time praying to become a good husband and become a good wife. Can I just say that? To become the right person yourself. Before you pray to God for this job, for that job, for this blessing, that blessing, you need to pray to God that you are prepared for said blessing. God, I would love to have this blessing, and Lord, prepare me for this blessing. You know what I mean? This is why, one of the main reasons why every year I say to you guys, I'm so grateful to God, because I'm like, he don't be giving me what I ask for sometimes, but then I repeatedly, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God. I was not ready. If God had given me what I wanted in the last few years, oh my gosh, I was not the woman I am today. It was not going to end well. I would have ruined my own blessings, And like I said, guys, I'm not blaming her or him in particular. We don't know what happened behind closed doors. I'm just saying these are things to think about as winners, that in life, the things that we experience, the things that we go through, when you succeed, when you're on that journey, the higher you go, it's going to bring out more of the true version of everybody, because now the temptation trio is at hand. Money, power, and fame. Everybody wants it. Everybody thinks those are the solutions to their problems in life. So the people around you, yeah, they might have loved you. And guess what? It's really easy. You know what? It's actually easier to be all broken heart. You know that it's easier to be all broken, struggling together. When you start to succeed, it actually makes things more difficult, if anything. Because now it's like, are we all succeeding together? Are we all succeeding at the same level? Can I handle this? So I do think there's that element here as well. Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. That's really all basically I have to say. I just wanted to share my thoughts. Like I said, guys, this is just my opinion. I don't think he just cheated for nothing. I don't think it's because they got together too young. I simply believe that he took too many blows to the ego. He didn't have the bollocks to step away or to step up for himself. And here we are. And, you know, like I said, we don't know the ins and outs. Anyways, you guys, if life's a game, it's paid to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. I'll see you in my next one.